Hey, this is Ronald from Math Skills University, and there are so many different reasons why your just right or Amana washing machine can suddenly go, well, just wrong. Like mine did after a year of ownership, and so did my dryer. But I was able to put a warning video up on February 22nd, 2022. And since then, I've been helping a lot of people get through the various problems that this Amana washing machine causes. Frustration and headache. I've also purportedly saved people thousands of dollars on service calls or throwing this machine out the window. Don't throw it out. We can probably fix it. So today we're going to give you a comprehensive video on how to fix anything regarding this Amana washing machine. And we're going to begin with how to perform a hard reset. We're going to move into how to perform two different types of soft resets. We're also going to show you how to go and do a diagnostic level reset. That was a game changer for me. And then we're going to go into how to go into diagnostics on a step-by-step level. And then we're going to look into the sequence of operation to determine the process of elimination if there's a faulty part, how to find it, identify it, and replace it. All that in this video. If you need to replace your drain pump or fix your dryer, I have separate videos for that. Without further ado, let's get started. Okay, the washing machine is not working. Let's start the troubleshooting process. And we're going to employ a process of elimination. Sorry, I'm a retired engineer. Number one, we're going to perform a hard reset. Unplug the washing machine for at least 30 minutes. If you live in an area where you're prone to thunderstorms and brownouts, unplug it for an hour. Plug it back up, see if it works. Number two, we're going to perform one of two soft resets. Here's reset code number one. Take it to 12 o'clock. Go around one time. I'm going to go left, right, 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 3 times. Left, right. And then you're going to see all the lights come on, or most of them come on the bottom. Now go right, right, and we're trying to go down to the final spin mode. Now press start. And here's reset code number 2. Start at 12 noon, go around 2 times back to 12. Then turn to the right 2 times, right, right. Then go left 1 time, then right, 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 to the right 3 times. Left 1 time, and right 1 time. Now the lights should flash. Press start. If that did not work, here we go. This diagnostic reset was a game changer for me. I did this in January of 2025 when my wife washed this dress with a few other items, and they were still wet when the load completed. Also, the cycle complete light did not come on. Everything went dark. So I did this. I'm going to unplug this for 30 minutes. Okay, it's been 30 minutes, so I'm going to plug it back up. Now if I hit start twice, pump it twice, it should blink like that. Now here, I'm going to hold that down for 10 seconds. And see how the blinking stops. Then I'm going to let it go. And then tap it once. And the light is solid. Something you can hear it. So the water is filling up. I came back down here. It's been about, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes. But now the lid is locked. I can see that. And it worked. Try this out, you guys. Ironically, I have not had a problem with this machine in a year. And I'm knocking on wood. I hope this works for you. If you're hearing this from your washing machine, what I would do is just switch to cold water. That solved the problem for us. But for other people, the problem went away on its own. Number one, it could be your water supply hose. It's gone bad, or air is coming in through that hose. You can replace that for a few bucks. It could also be your drive belt. Maybe it needs to have conditioning spray applied, but you can also buy a belt for 12 bucks. Lastly, it could be your water inlet valve, and those cost about 25 bucks on Amazon. If your sensing fill light stays on, you may have to replace your water level pressure switch. Here's how we go into real diagnostics mode. We start at 12 o'clock and we go counterclockwise twice back to 12 o'clock. Go 1, 2, 3 to the right, 1 to the left, and 1 to the right. All the lights are going to blink except the lid lock. So now I can actually look at each stage of the washing process to see if there's a particular component that went bad. For example, it could be my water level switch, it could be my water inlet valve, it could be the circuit board, it could be the wash basket or the tub, but this will let me know what exact component is faulty. And if there's a problem, there will be multiple lights flashing. You'll know something's wrong. And there are two small screws, and they look like this. One over here on the top, and one down here in the corner. And the same thing on the other side. Now, once this is open, you have your circuit board way down there to the right and some things over here to the left. But you can see that piece of paper right there. That's your technical reference manual. Like this, and I'm going to pull this puppy out. And this is what they don't want you to know about. This is why they prefer that you call them. And I get it. So if you don't know what you're doing, don't play with it. For those of you who are techies, you can go into Diagnostics like that and try to figure out the code yourself. I blew this up for a second just to give you an idea of how this works, but here's your wash, rinse, spin, and done mode. And these are some of the alerts. And then down here you have different error codes in E1, E7. So it tells you as you go along that cycle where you are in terms of what lights should be on and off. And then you can look at the codes and figure out, okay, this is on, that's off, but this kind of corresponds to these. If I go over here to the right and look at some of the codes, some of the errors, I'll get this. Now, there are some common errors that you may get like this. F0, E2, over suds, E5, off balance load. But here's a main control fault, a motor control fault, right? So it goes on and on. With the problem with the spin, our problem was a basket speed fault, motor fault. Then over here, you have components and you have terminals. Shifter motor, drive system, optical sensor. And if I go over here to the service parts, and I provided this link below, you'll see all of the 32 components that comprise or put together this washing machine. With that said, and with all the new knowledge that we have, we can actually do a more in-depth process of elimination if we think we have a faulty component. But in order to do that, we need to know the sequence of operation for an Amana washing machine. So let's take a peek inside. If the speed's off, if it's not draining correctly, the first thing I would do is try a reset code, because keep in mind that circuit board is talking to all these pieces from different manufacturers. And sometimes that circuit board gets confused. It could be a power surge or brownout, and that circuit board gets discombobulated. And by resetting the code, it can now successfully talk to all the various components inside the washing machine. And this is how that would look based on the parts from the Amana website, how this would operate. So I would start up here to the upper left, and it will be the circuit board. So if I press start on the washing machine, if that circuit board is working properly, it should kick in. Once that starts, it's going to talk to the timer, because in this case, my wife would put in the type of load she wanted, the timing or whatever, and then the timer would talk to the water level pressure switch. The water level pressure switch tells the water inlet valve to start letting water in. So we're trying to let water in at this point. If water doesn't come in, then the water supply hose could be clogged, or one of these other three components could be at fault. But at this point, we should start hearing the water come into the tub of the washing machine. At this point, the water level pressure switch should tell the motor to start agitating. What could preclude that, and the three components you see that are highlighted in red will stop your machine from working. The lit switch costs $23. If the lit switch does not lock, the machine will not work. Lit switches burn out constantly. Number 2, the dry belt. The dry belts wear out. You can buy 4 of those for $30 or 1 for $12. The motor is trying to run. Then you have the motor coupler, which is about $9 or $10. But these things are plastic and they break all the time. So these are the 3 main culprits that I will look at first if you think you have a physical problem and you're beyond trying to reset the washing machine via the code. And sometimes you'll hear a funny noise from the washing machine like this. That's the sound of a motor trying to turn, but it can't turn. And in some cases, the dry belt could be gone or missing or just broke. And then these motor couplers, they break all the time. So if one of those 2 things are broken, the motor will not turn. And if you open the lid, you'll see the water vibrating, but the motor's not turning. If you hear that, then what you could be encountering is a motor that's just stuck. But in some cases, it could be the capacitor. And you can check the capacitor. If the water in your washing machine is not heating, it could be your heating element. That's a component. The shift assembler and the gear case are important. The shift assembler determines whether you agitate or spin, and the gear case facilitates that movement, but it also takes out excess water. So if you find that your clothes have a lot of water in them, it could be a bad gear case. The shift assembler or the actuator, and those do die, they cost about $50. Another thing that happens with washing machines is that if your drain hose is clogged or it's not cleared, water will go back into your tub and the clothes on the bottom of the tub will be wet, but the other clothes will be relatively dry. Make sure you keep that clear and clean. The motor control board controls one thing, the speed of the washing machine. Of course, a lot of people have draining problems, and reset code will solve that most of the time. But if you do need a new water pump, you can buy a new water pump for between $25 and $35. By the way, the water level pressure switch is $16. If your washing machine is humming, making a bunch of noise, and it's not really draining correctly, there might be a sock caught in your washing machine drain pump or some kind of small object. So check that out. You hear that sound? That could be nothing. Sometimes you can just let it go and it will go away by itself, but sometimes it could be just switching to tap cold water. For some reason, Amana likes cold water, and that will go away if you just switch. Don't ask. So that's a motor in distress. So that could also be a motor coupler because it's trying to work. These are some of the components that a motor relies on to operate. The lid switch has to be correct so it can lock the lid. The dry belt has to be intact and in pretty decent shape so it can spin the motor. Then a motor coupler has to be there because that motor coupler is an important link from the motor shaft to the direct drive transmission. So that has to be intact. And then the capacitor, of course, gives everything power. But when you take out that capacitor, you have to discharge it. You're getting water, but then the motor doesn't run or it doesn't kick in. One of these things could be the culprit. In the middle of a wash, if it's all of a sudden not shifting, it doesn't know if it wants to agitate or spin, it could be your actuator. And these are some of the other components that you may need at some point. But keep in mind, if you buy an appliance, it's going to need new parts within 3 to 5 years. Doesn't matter if it's a washing machine, a dryer, refrigerator, dishwasher. For example, here, if the alligator dogs on the bottom of your alligator or your paddle, those things wear out as well. So it won't turn. And those things cost, I don't know, $4 or $5. Also, there are shockers or absorbers for the wash tub itself. And then the dry pulley, those things break. So keep that in mind. If your tub turns freely without clothes in it, but when you fill it up, it doesn't want to turn, what happens sometimes is the direct drive washer clutch and or the clutch band, they break. So that's what's going on there. There are also door parts you can buy and leveling feet you can buy, but these are just some of the extra parts that eventually, inevitably, you might need. If you have any comments, suggestions, or ideas, please leave them below. If you like this content, please like, share, and subscribe. And I'm wishing you and your family the very best. Thanks for watching.